Yankees versus Dodgers Part 2? We'll explain coming up next on Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, there you are.
Stacey, another day of the MLB offseason. I wonder what news is going to break after we're off the air this time.
Yeah, we're going to discuss that. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer, because there's about 8 billion of them now. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. We will be chatting with you guys in segment 3 and finding out what you think about certain things. In segment 2, we're going to talk about one of those breaking news things that happened after we were live yesterday, because Monday, we were talking about Gavin Lux. He went to the Reds. On Tuesday, we were talking about the Giants not doing that much, and Justin Verlander goes there. So what's going to happen today? Who knows? Because in segment 1, we're going to talk about the Yankees versus Dodgers in offseason moves.
Yeah, so interesting going into both seasons. It's so weird how in pro sports, whatever league you tend to follow, the team that wins the championship, you often don't see that many moves, mainly because there's not a lot of financial flexibility out of those teams, because they've spent a lot of money in order to get to the championship. But with baseball, both teams that spend the most money more often than not, wound up making the most moves. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees and Dodgers, it seems to have been an arms race this offseason between the two of them. And other than the Mets and the moves that they made, although the Mets have really only made one major acquisition this offseason, made a lot of noise, but it was only really one major acquisition. The Yankees and Dodgers have acquired a ton of talent on either side. And there's only one big difference between the two when it comes to gambling odds for the most part. We're going to go over those two. Players they lost, players they acquired. But the difference that I noticed, Stacey, before we get into what specifically happened, the Dodgers gained a lot more than they lost this offseason.
Yeah, right? It's a lot of re-signed from them. They didn't really, they lost Lux, okay. But other than that, it's mostly re-signing guys.
Yeah, bringing back almost the same team, and that's seemed to work for them. They've been to multiple World Series now in the last few years. They've won multiple pennants. So let's go over what the teams have done. The Yankees acquisitions, just to go over for you guys, they brought in Paul Goldschmidt. They re-signed Jonathan Loaisiga. They traded for Cody Bellinger. They traded for Devin Williams. They re-signed Trent Grisham, and they signed Max Fried as a free agent. I think so far there's obviously a couple of moves still to be made, but so far, you as a Yankee fan, hard to find a lot of places to really complain about what they've done so far.
Right.
On the Dodgers side of things, they signed Blake Snell. That was pretty much the first big move of the offseason that no one saw coming. They re-signed Blake Treinen, one of the best relievers in all of baseball. They signed Michael Conforto. They re-signed Teoscar Hernandez. And they'll probably sign Roki Sasaki coming out. When you look at both of these moves, Stacey, do you find the Yankees moves more impressive just because they're bringing in a lot of new, fresh names and different players? Or do you find it more impressive the Dodgers were able to stay as consistent and bring back the same names?
I think they're impressive in different ways, if that makes sense. It's impressive that the Dodgers were able to bring back so many guys. And it was impressive for the Yankees to actually change things up and do as much as they've done so far with 1 or 2 moves left.
We discussed this yesterday, and I find this important too. The fact that the Dodgers are willing, it obviously takes a lot of financial flexibility to do this, but the fact that they're willing to back themselves up with their pitching staff is impressive. They've gone through enough seasons, it feels like, where injuries have bit them, where they've been the best team in the league, and going into the postseason because of a number of injuries, they've been upset early on. And
well, even last year, they had a bunch of injuries in the starting rotation, and it didn't matter. They won the World Series because their bullpen was performing.
There's been plenty of years in the past, though, where they've won 103,
105
games. Yeah. And they've been upset in the first round, and everyone goes, what the heck happened? And we often credit it to the Dodgers, they're not ready for the big game, or they just can't get over that hump. a lot of the times it was injuries. It was guys that were just hurt. And I know professional athletes are not going to give you injuries as an excuse to why they lost games. But at the end of the day, you build your team with a certain roster. The Yankees aren't going to the World Series last year without Aaron Judge. They're just not. They're not going there without Juan Soto if those guys get hurt. So while athletes don't want to use injuries as an excuse, it kind of is a good excuse when you don't perform.
Right. And the other thing is, when it comes to the playoffs, and this can be in any sport, the greatest team on earth can be playing against the worst team on earth. And the greatest team on earth could have the worst week that they've had in a year, and they'll be eliminated from the playoffs. That's just like when people say the playoffs are a crapshoot, they mean it in that sense, right?
Exactly.
People expect the Mets to do what they did in the first few rounds.
No.
Not really. It's also a hot hand. You have teams that turn it on in the second half, and and you see the total like, oh, they only won 86 games. They should be, knocked out of the playoffs right away. But if they won the majority of those 86 in the second half and they're on a roll, so, I mean, you've seen best teams get eliminated many, many times with injuries not being the excuse, but the Dodgers did have that luxury over the last few years.
And they've done that now where they've kind of eliminated injuries from being an excuse, right? They've backed themselves up in multiple positions where even if, this guy gets hurt or that guy gets hurt, they have an easy replacement. So, people didn't realize too, they traded Gavin Lux away, losing an infielder who, again, top tier prospect, a lot of upside to him, but hasn't necessarily hit his level where people expected him to get to. Yeah. And they brought in, I'm butchering the name, but Ha-Seong Kim, who was one of the top Japanese players coming out that kind of went under the radar coming over to the major leagues. And they signed him last week too, which no one even realized was happening because of the Gavin Lux news and everything going around with baseball. So they make a ton of acquisitions. They back themselves up. I can't think of a team in professional sports right now you'd be prouder to root for than the Los Angeles Dodgers, because it's always a constant willingness to do whatever it imaginably takes to win. Plus, you go into every deadline, Stacey, they always have the assets to make a big move.
Does it feel like they have a bigger roster than everyone else?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. It feels like they have like a 50-man roster compared to everyone else, and it just seems that way when they play. It's like, who's this guy? Where's he coming from? Because even in the World Series, like, how do you have all these pitchers? Where are they coming from? Yeah.
the losses for each team in the offseason. Now, this is where I think it's eye-opening when you go over at both teams. The Yankees lost Juan Soto, John Birdie, Lou Trevino, Anthony Rizzo, Alex Verdugo, Tim Hill, Gleyber Torres, Tommy Kahnle, Clay Holmes, and Nestor Cortez Jr. Now, full disclaimer, I think me and Stacey both kind of fully expect Tim Hill and Tommy Kahnle to be back with the Yankees this year.
And
at least
Jose
Tim
Trevino.
Hill.
And Jose Trevino, too.
Yeah, they did lose him, actually, too. Yeah, I did miss that one.
Yeah.
So, a lot of loss, but they've replaced a lot of those names. Obviously, Juan Soto is the guy that leads that campaign. But other than that, the big names on here, I think, you're Gleyber Torres, a Yankee for a while. Alex Verdugo, I think you're glad is gone more than feeling it as a loss. Yeah. Here's the big news in the whole thing, though, Stacey. I only included major league talent. Obviously, teams make minor league deals all the time. We don't even hear about it.
Right.
The player the Dodgers lost this offseason, Gavin Lux. Right. That was it. That was the only player lost off their major league roster. Yeah. That, to me, is more impressive than anything. That you find a way to keep the same team, to keep everyone intact. They've got everybody on multi-year deals. And what's impressive about what they do, too, is they stagger all their deals. So no one's really becoming a free agent at the same year. So what makes it impressive, Stacey, is you avoid that catastrophic offseason where you lose 3, 4, or 5 of your major stars, because you've staggered all of their free agent years. And it also makes them more valuable come trade season, because you can, you don't want a guy that becomes a free agent in 2 years. Well, we have a guy that becomes a free agent in 3 years. They've really done a great job of doing all of that. So they've only lost one major player out of their starting lineup and immediately replaced him. It really is impressive stuff.
The Yankees really need to look at what the Dodgers have done. I know they won the World Series in 2020. Some people don't think of that as a real World Series because it was only a 60-game season, but they won a real World Series this past year. They're constantly in the playoffs, whether they get knocked out in the first round and make it to the World Series against a team that's cheating and lose. They run up against another team that's possibly cheating and lose, but at least they're in the playoffs. And it's year after year. When you're a Dodger fan, you basically know the first day of spring training that your team is more than likely making the playoffs.
Yeah, and the gambling odds will tell you this too. Whether you guys are into gambling or not, I do like to go over what the team's odds are because believe it or not, Stacey, more often than not, the casinos get it right when it comes to who they pick as the favorites of each division and playoff odds and all that kind of stuff. The Dodgers are the favorite to win the World Series next year at plus 320, which from a gambling perspective is not a good bet because you're really not making much money off. To bet a team at that low of a number to win the whole thing this early is insane. The Yankees, are just for perspective, are the second favorite to win the World Series next year at plus 800. It's that much of a difference between the two teams, which is crazy. To win the AL, the Yankees are plus 250. The NL, the Dodgers are plus 180. AL East, the Yankees are even money, plus 100. The Dodgers are minus 450 to win the NL West, which means you have to bet $450 to win $100. Crazy odds to the Dodgers to win the World Series. We'll discuss more of that tomorrow when we have Ariel Epstein on. But, I mean, you're looking at both of these teams next year, Stacey, and what they've done with both of their, based on what the other leagues look like, and based on what they've both done in their off seasons, right now, and it's very early, very premature, how could you not pick either team as the favorite in their league?
Right.
It really is just crazy.
One quick thing I was thinking about before we go to break. I was thinking about how the two teams that made the World Series the previous year also made some big moves. Like the Rangers made a bunch of moves, and the Diamondbacks signed Corbin Burns. So really I thought it was kind of funny that the two teams that were in the 24 World Series made a bunch of moves. I mean, the Yankees out of necessity, the Dodgers just trying to shore up their team. And then you have the Rangers, who did not like the year that they had after the World Series, and I don't blame them. And so they made some moves, and the Diamondbacks were like, yeah, we're going to bring in Corbin Burns and surprise the heck out of everyone. So I just thought that was interesting. I was thinking about that this morning as we were, you had said yesterday what we were going to talk about. And I was like, oh, yeah, the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, too.
It is interesting because a lot of teams generally don't, when they win a championship or even win their league, they don't make a lot of moves going into the next year because they really can't, right? They don't have a lot of financial flexibility most of the time. And also, what is there really to fix? If you win a championship or win your league, you're not going to be replacing players and moving guys around because it's not much to fix at that point. So it does add a little bit of that credence to it. But yeah, you're right. It's really impressive how the last 4 pennant winners have all made significant upgrades during the offseason.
Yep. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up or live, depending on if we're live or just recording. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. And there's a 14-day free trial. So coming up next, should the Giants be thanking us for signing Justin Verlander? We're going to talk about that. Hold on. I can edit this.
Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me because I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for all of your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved up to a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members a total of $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is a subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton of money. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. There's no more stressing about budgeting every single month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. And remember, guys, that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath our videos during the week, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club to get top priority on Fan Mail Friday. That link is in our description.
Hold on. There we go.
So, Stacey, 1 year, $15 million. That's all it took to get Justin Verlander, the 41-year-old pitcher, to sign with the San Francisco Giants. Twofold here. We'll go over the move, what it means for the San Francisco Giants. But before we even attack that, I want to ask you, what the heck are the Houston Astros doing?
I don't know. I really don't. They trade away Kyle Tucker. They're letting Bregman go. They let Verlander go. They couldn't sign that 1 year, 15 million for a guy who's won you 2 World Series. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I mean, and this goes back a few years too. They basically single-handedly took themselves out of the Garrett Cole sweepstakes also. They didn't even bother, they traded for Garrett Cole, had him come pitch there. He was excellent for them, should have won a Cy Young, and then let him walk too. I don't understand what Jim Crane is doing. I think this mindset's gone a little overboard and a little crazy where he refuses to sign guys for more than 5-year deals. I don't get it at all. That's not a winning formula. And here's the thing too, Stacey. I get that he hasn't had guys on long-term deals there. He hasn't had to have guys on long-term deals. And without having guys on long-term deals, you've been able to, win 4 pennants and 2 World Series at this point. So it's quote-unquote kind of worked for him without signing guys. Let's keep in mind, though, I mean, they had a bunch of players on those teams that were young and on their rookie deals. Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker, all players on their rookie deals, making no money, playing at all-star levels of the game. You were really shrewd with trades, making great moves. You had a really stacked-up farm system because you had lost for so long.
Right, they were like tanking for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that tanking is one of the few tanking in sports that's actually worked because it wasn't just getting the first overall pick to take Alex Bregman. It wasn't just the first overall pick that they took Carlos Correa with. They also had stacked draft picks from years and years and years past. They also missed on a few first overall picks. But regardless, Stacey, they had a stacked farm system. They were able to make the Garrett Cole trade. They were able to make all these great moves, and they were very successful in the international free agent market. They had a lot of really successful moves. So they didn't really have a need to sign guys to long-term deals or have guys on long-term deals. Plus, I don't know if anyone out there heard, they were also actively cheating through most of this. So it helped them win also. So through all of this, Jim Crane has had this mindset of, I don't need to sign guys to long-term deals. I don't need to spend a lot of money for players because, well, heck, I'm winning anyway without doing that. So why would I do that if I'm winning anyway? And I get where that mindset can come from. But Stacey, it's gone a little over the top now when you're refusing to bring back Justin Verlander on a 1-year, $15 million deal. I don't get it. If that's the market that was out there for Verlander, surely, and Verlander had wanted to be an Astro, right? I mean, before he became a free agent the first time, it was known that he wanted to be an Astro. The Mets just offered him a boatload of money, so he left. Why not back with Houston? So when Steve Cohen asked him where he wanted to go, him and his family specifically requested to go back to Houston. So I find it hard to believe he wouldn't have wanted to stay in Houston. And if that was the number, you'd think that they approached Jim Crane with that number and were clearly told no. Stacey, I don't get it.
Are they doing a reset? Not a hard reset, but are they doing like a soft reset here? I don't understand what they're doing.
That's the only thing I would get. And even so, signing Verlander to a 1-year deal really wouldn't affect that much.
Right.
So I can't really comprehend it. It makes no sense to me. Again, I don't like the move, but I can understand trading Kyle Tucker. I get it. I don't love it. If I was an Astros fan, I wouldn't love it. But you acquired the number 1 prospect in all of baseball. You probably thought you weren't. I don't begrudge a team for not being involved in. I mean, right now, what is Kyle Tucker going to wind up getting in the free agent market? Somewhere they're predicting around the $350 million range. Who knows? That number might get over 4 by the time he's a free agent and teams start.
And Crane wouldn't do that.
Exactly. So listen, I'll begrudge any team for not getting involved in a $150 million negotiation, but in a $400 million negotiation, I get it a little more. I mean, it's a Texas-built team that's making a lot of money because they're winning championships, but whatever. I get him not wanting to be involved in that. And also, you had an opportunity to acquire one of the best prospects in all of baseball. More often than not, teams stay good by trading good players before they hit a fall and acquiring young talent. So I get it. That move I can get behind and I understand what they're doing. This move, I don't understand. Verlander helps you stay competitive. It's $15 million for still a guy that's not pitching terribly. His numbers were down last year, but he also came off an injury, and it was a wacky year for him.
He's also over
I don't
40.
understand it. Yeah. I think it's a great deal for the Giants, though. I mean,
I was just gonna ask you. So you talk about the Astros. So how do you feel about this move for the Giants? Because we were talking about them on yesterday's show, and like I said, we talked about Gavin Lux on Monday. He gets traded. We talk about the Giants sort of doing something with Willy Adames, but what else would they do? Where would they be in the West? Would it be third place fighting with the Padres kind of thing? And then this news breaks maybe 2 hours after we're done with our live.
Which is wild. I don't hate what they've done this offseason. I actually like it. They've been trying to spend money, it feels like, over the last few years, trying to make big acquisitions. And it's, for whatever reason, has not worked out for them. I don't hate this. First of all, you have one of the top young pitchers in all of baseball in Logan Webb, who you get now to spend a full season with Justin Verlander, including a spring training, a full training session with him. I think that's big for a young pitcher to see constantly. Just to be around Logan Webb, to be around Verlander's work ethic, his preparation, that I think is really key. I think it's a move. They're almost investing in their future by signing a veteran pitcher who will be there for a year. It'll be weird to see Verlander in a Giants uniform, but also going to a pitcher's park.
Will it though? Will it? Because someone posted on Blue Sky that every team Justin Verlander has been with has had orange on their uniforms in some way.
And he's been with 4 teams.
The Tigers, the Astros, the Mets, they all have orange, and now the Giants.
That's crazy to think about. I would have never considered. And there's no more orange in the league, I don't think, right?
Baltimore.
Oh, so I guess he's going to be an Oriole next. That's not possible because they don't spend any money, clearly.
Right.
I just, I like the move for the Giants a lot. I think it's a where's the downside here for the Giants? It's 1 year. It's a $15 million deal. Even if Verlander is awful and has a 6 ERA next year, you still get Logan Webb a year with, it's different in football, but everyone looks to have the veteran quarterback with the rookie that's playing behind him to learn off of him. It's the same kind of scenario, except Logan Webb gets to play full time. I love this move for the Giants.
Yeah, people were saying it was reminiscent of Randy Johnson going to the Giants all those years ago when he was like 45. It's kind of similar. And, like you said, even if he has a down year, you have Justin Verlander at your disposal, talking to young pitchers and helping them out. So he could be like a de facto coach if he's not having a great season. So that's big plus for the Giants.
If you're really good this year, the Giants, and you're in a wild card competition, then you keep Justin Verlander and you have him pitching through that run. And if you're not good or you're middling and Justin Verlander's having a good year, now you have a trade chip to a competitor who wants to go acquire him. So either way, I think it's a smart deal for the Giants. I like it. I don't know why the Astros didn't bring him in.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. All right, coming up next, what are we doing? Oh yes, we're
going to chat with you guys.
Yeah, we're chatting with you and talking about the Yankees bullpen.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, we'll do that in a moment. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, comedy, or theater. And one of my favorite memories ever attending a comedy show was when I went to Caroline's in New York City, and I laughed so hard that I lost my voice because the comedian was so funny. Gametime has made it even easier for you to get tickets to your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff. It shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, because you know what that's like. It takes a lot of time. I was looking for tickets for an upcoming concert. It's at a place that I'm not familiar with. And on top of the super deal that gets you really great seats at unbeatable prices, it shows you where your seat is. So if you're not familiar with a place, Gametime helps you out with that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. So let's see who's here. Debbie's here. Debbie's an insider. Hi, Debbie. One of her comments says, what the heck are they waiting for? So I'm assuming that's the Yankees and the final moves that they need to make. Maybe they're just seeing how things are shaking out, right? Why can't I hear you? Hold on. You muted yourself. There you go. No, I still can't hear you.
We
There
good
you go.
now? Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Stupid technical errors always happens with these damn mics.
Right.
I think from a bullpen perspective, what they're waiting for, it feels like, at least from the Tommy Kahnle perspective, that he's going to be back.
Mhm.
He lives in the Philadelphia area in South Jersey. I know from all accounts he wants to stay here. He's got a young family. They want to stay in the area. It just feels more like a clerical thing at this point. He knows he's going to re-sign the Yankees. It kind of feels like there's probably been a handshake agreement. They just haven't signed on paper yet.
Mhm.
The Tim Hill one is interesting to me because that's the one where I start to get a little antsy, where I'm like, all right, let's get it done.
Yeah,
Let's
like,
get
what
the
are you
move
waiting
over
for? Why are
I
they
don't know what
waiting?
they're waiting for. I don't like that it's taking so long. I think I don't know what our listeners think, but feel free to comment, guys. I think there's a big importance to Tim Hill being on this roster, actually.
Me
Having a
too.
lefty arm like that can get big outs late in games. I think there's a real importance to having a big lefty in your bullpen like that. So I'd be more, I wouldn't say in a rush, but I'd put some pep in my step when it comes to getting that deal done.
I know there were reports that there's mutual interest from either side, and maybe that's why things aren't happening yet. Maybe the Yankees, I don't know, but they need to bring him back. He was incredible, as I've said 500 times since the World Series ended, or even since game 1 of the World Series. He should have been in that game, and he wasn't, and that was one of the dumbest things Aaron Boone's ever done in his life. But I would prefer to see him signed sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take much either financially. I think maybe $8 million, $9 million would get it done, somewhere in that range. I don't think they're going to give him a multi-year deal. Maybe that's what it is. He's looking for 2 or 3 years and they want to give him a 1-year deal. I don't know what it is. I can't imagine he wouldn't want to be back, only because Yankee fans have actually shown him a lot of love this offseason because of how much they wanted him in that game.
Yeah.
But also, let's not forget, Stacey, he was on the White Sox last year, withering away.
Mhm.
And now you put him on the Yankees towards the end of the year and he makes a run to the World Series. I can't imagine why he wouldn't want to be back. So again, the Tommy Kahnle thing feels like it's been a handshake agreement where they're gonna bring him back at whatever point. The Tim Hill thing is a little more weird to me.
I don't know, that almost feels like a handshake deal too, because again, there's mutual, wanting on either side. So I'm assuming that's what's happening with them, and they're just waiting for some reason. Now, this is interesting. I don't think we mentioned this on the show. Forgive me, guys. Were you the ones that reported the Dodgers were auctioning off the ball Judge dropped? If not, did you hear about it? Love your show. Yes, I did hear about it. No, we did not discuss this.
Yeah, it wasn't us who reported it either. I'll say I forgot who the listener was that put that in there. I'm sorry for forgetting your name.
G Squad.
But G Squad. I did hear about this and I find it weird, but there's a lot of weird sports memorabilia that's auctioned off every year. So I don't. Is it strange? Sure. I don't know why someone would want to own that, because it's not like was the drop ball a major play in that game? Sure, but was it the play that ended the World Series? Also, no. Like, if that was the last play of the game, sure. If that was, the ball caught from the shot heard around the world or the overhead catch, sure. But it's not like that's an iconic World Series moment.
No,
That
it's
feels
just
like a
Dodgers.
bad
It's just
investment.
Dodgers fans being jackasses. That's
Maybe.
basically what it is.
I mean,
No,
it is a World Series ball. I know you can bid for those things.
Sure,
It
but
just feels like a weird thing to need to own.
their fans have been jerks this offseason. Some of their players have been jerks. Like, no one likes sore winners, and they've been sore winners.
I
And
disagree. See, I think you earn the right to talk all the crap you want in the offseason
when you
after
don't
you win the
play,
World Series.
when you don't play,
But not the who's the pitcher who was talking all the
Joe
smack?
Kelly.
Yeah, Joe Kelly. I don't think has a reason when he didn't play. But
And who's the other one? The other one was talking smack too, who was on the bench and didn't even play. Where he said that they could tell that the Yankees were going to fall apart. I can't remember who it was. If someone in the chat remembers, refresh
yeah,
my
but
memory.
I think if you're on the team and even to an extent the fan base, I think you have a little bit of leeway to talk smack in the offseason after your team wins the title.
Sure, but there's a limit. There's a time limit.
You do know at the same time that
What?
that Yankee fans would be insufferable if they won a World Series.
I would be insufferable for about a week, and they'd be like, all right, it's football and hockey season. Also, if they did win again, it would be my 8th in my lifetime. So at this point, I'd just be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, what is it? Most of their third, fourth, maybe. So yeah, not
Poor
not as
baby.
much.
Poor baby. There are other fan bases who haven't even been to a World Series since I was like 5, Pirates. So, or some who have never been to the World Series, Mariners. And
Yeah.
when were the Mariners? 1977? Was that the year that they came into the league? So
There's some brutal fan bases you could be rooting for. I mean, when you talk about the teams
but I didn't
where
know they were this obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like, I really didn't know. And I follow a lot of Dodger fans, and they just turned into demons this offseason. I was like, I didn't do anything to you. Why are you being so obnoxious to me? I barely did. I barely said anything during the World Series.
People come out of the woodwork when their team finally wins. Like it's like Laker and Cowboy fans and Yankee fans to an extent also. Like they're going to come out and talk all the crap they want when their team wins. That's just how kind of
I guess it's
works.
better when you talk crap when you win something as opposed to not winning something.
You've earned the right.
Right.
I don't know. The auctioned off ball feels like one of those investments that someone's going to spend too much money for. And then a year or two down the line is going to be like, why did I buy this? It's got no value to it. So,
or they're going to look at it and be like, wait, what is this again? Because I have a signed Roger Clemens ball. I didn't buy it. I got it as a birthday present, like a long time ago.
That's a pretty cool one to own, though.
Well, it was really funny. It was my birthday when I was working at NBC, and I got into work, and there was a gift bag on my desk, and I was like, oh, cool, a birthday present. And I open it up, and I see the box, and I see that it's a baseball, and I take it out. It's in a case, and I'm looking at the signature. I couldn't tell you who it was. I was looking at it and I went to like Yankees.com, like the primitive version of Yankees.com, and I was looking at the roster, and I'm like, who could this be? I'm like, whose name is this? Because I could not figure out the signature. And then the person who got me it, his wife used to be the makeup artist for David Letterman. And he got me the autograph when Roger Clemens was on Letterman. I was like, he's like, I know he's not your favorite, but he was on the show recently. I'm like, hey, okay, cool. So I still have the ball somewhere in the house.
Clearly it's very important to you because it's somewhere in the house.
That's who it was. I think it was Chris Taylor who said something.
Yeah, it was. He was talking a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you finally win a chance. I don't think it's right to talk. Here's my thing. I think you can talk all the crap you want. When you start going after the other team, I think it's a little ridiculous.
Well, that's what it is. Like
the Yankees don't have a response. They lost.
Yeah,
like,
but the Yankees,
you don't have a response.
My problem is, could you picture Aaron Judge doing that?
Yes, I could, and here's why. Here's why. What year is it? 2019 out? 2018, when the Red Sox were really good and the Yankees went back to the Bronx at 1-1 after they won the game in Fenway. Aaron Judge walked through Fenway Park playing New York on a boombox on his shoulder.
He lost. He what's the word I'm looking for? He learned his lesson.
He did, but you said, can I picture him doing it? Yeah, because he's done that.
But now I can't. He's over 30. He's about to be a father. He's the captain of the Yankees. He's not going to do that now. He has a bigger responsibility now. You wouldn't see Derek Jeter do that either as a captain.
Well, yeah, but are we putting Chris Taylor on the same level as Aaron Judge or Derek Jeter?
But I'm just saying there are a bunch. Like I can see Jazz Chisholm probably saying something, right?
Jazz Chisholm.
But did you see Freddie Freeman doing it? No,
but I mean, you're not going to see it from guys that are that prolific either. I mean, Mookie Betts wasn't doing it either.
Yeah, well, the rule is if you didn't contribute to the World Series win, shut up, Joe Kelly. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm still angry about this. He makes me so angry, that guy. It's like, what are you talking about? You did nothing for that team.
Still
nothing. I did more for the Dodgers than you did, sir, and I did nothing.
Still got a ring.
Yeah, another ring. That jerk. He doesn't deserve it. Anyway, whatever.
I don't think so. I don't think that'll ever be who is the Yankees' top rival right now? Because is it even Houston? Because it feels like Houston. It's again, I hate to be this way as a Yankee fan, but it's the truth. In order for something to be a rivalry, you need to exchange blows. The Yankees don't exchange blows with the Astros. The only time the Yankees have really been over the top of Houston was last year's opening series when they swept them in Houston. Yeah, that was it. So,
well, no, that's not true. They've won a couple of season series, but they can't do anything against
playoff
them
series.
Playoffs.
And that's when it really matters. The opening series is more high prolific because it was the opening series, Juan Soto's debut, all that kind of
It
stuff.
was a 4-game series. It was in
Yeah.
Houston, and you're like, oh god. Like I remember seeing that on the schedule last season and thinking,
What an awful start.
oh
Yeah.
my god, they have to start on the road in Houston. This is going to be so annoying. And they won the first game. I'm like, all right, cool. They won one game. I'm like,
Exactly.
cool, they won one, because I'm so used to them seeing or being so bad against Houston. And, on that Sunday, I was like, did that really happen? Like, that was, wow.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I don't view them in Houston as much of a big rivalry. I honestly I feel like the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, just like the Yankee Met rivalry, is much more forced upon us than it actually is a rivalry. Because the Yankees and Red Sox don't hate each other, right? Like the teams itself, they don't hate each other right now. The franchises might, and the fan bases certainly do, but
Yeah.
the team itself does not hate each other. The Yankees
Yeah.
and Mets don't hate each other. Those rivalries both feel very forced. I don't even know who the Yankees' rival is necessarily right now.
Well, it's not like it used to be. Like, it's not like the 70s and 80s where guys wanted to actually kill each other on the field and
Yeah,
try to.
these guys are all buddies.
The Yankees and Red Sox were getting into brawls. The Royals and Yankees were getting into brawls. Guys were tackling people at second, sliding into second base and trying to kill them. It's not like that anymore. My parents were at the game in the 1973 NLCS when who are the Mets playing? Why can't I remember?
In the 73, I know they played the Orioles in the World Series.
Yeah, look that up right now because I can't remember who it was. But they were right by first base. I think it was a ground ball out for the third out. And my dad said that he reached down between his legs to get his drink.
Oh, it's a big red machine. Duh.
Yes, the Reds. That's right. And he looks up and there's a skirmish on the field. It was the famous brawl in, I don't know what game it was, but my parents were at that game. It's not like it was 40, 50 years ago. Guys don't legitimately, and even in the 2000s when the Yankees Red Sox rivalry was big because of 03 and 04, like Pedro was a pain in the butt and he didn't seem to like people, and Posada didn't like him, and Jeter had an issue with him because he used to hit him all the time when he was pitching. But full team hatred
didn't exist.
No, hasn't been a thing in a while. Like true rivalries where you're just like, yeah, it doesn't feel the same.
It
Although
does
that's
exist
better,
here
though.
and there, but it's generally not even division rivals. It winds up being random where two teams get into a fight and it escalates and grows and grows. You see it here and there, but it's not as common as it once was.
Yeah. I knew it was a team that wore red in 1973. I'm like, it wasn't the Phillies. Who was it? No, it wasn't the Cardinals either. I couldn't figure out who it was.
Yeah, I remembered it was the Orioles in that World Series they played, though.
Yeah. I can't remember what game it was, but yeah, my dad said it was really funny. He said, I literally went down, got my drink because I thought the third out, done, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's just a pile of guys in front of us. And my mom, it was like a date night for them because it was before I was born. And she was like, oh yeah, they were all over each other. It was crazy. I was like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. I mean, they were right there. They were right by first base. So I've never seen a baseball brawl in person.
Neither have I. I'm trying to think about it right now. I don't think I have either. Honestly, though, they're nowhere near that anymore.
No,
because now it's just a dare you to hit me contest.
I think the last big one for the Yankees was that one with the Red Sox and Tyler Austin.
Yes, that was a legitimate one.
Yeah,
that was a pretty big one.
Yeah, that was legit. The one in 98, it's kind of funny. I was supposed to, or not supposed to, I just gotten home from school. I just graduated after my super duper senior year. And my dad was like, you want to go to the game? I was like, no, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. No. And they called it the imperfect game because it was the Tuesday after David Wells' perfect game. And a part of me wished I was there for the game because I was like, wow, I've never seen a brawl in person, but we had taped it and I used to watch it to get fired up. I had it on VHS for a while, that brawl.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't exist anymore.
That's a long time ago. VHS. I watched brawls on VHS. I would just tape games if I was out to, and then come home and watch.
Oh yeah, I went through that era of with me. I was in the DVR generation, but yeah, with me it was I would DVR.
Oh,
like
I did that too.
Game in February if I was out.
Yeah, I would do that too. Or I would DVR the game I was at just to see if I missed something while I was at the game because you don't always pay attention. You sometimes go walk around and do things. So
as a kid, I would get a big kick out of coming home and watching the game, that like the highlights of the game that I was at. Like immediately turning on ESPN and seeing if the game that you were at was going to be shown in the highlights and be like, oh, I do remember that. As if I wouldn't have seen it when I was there. It's so weird, things that interest you when you're at that age.
In 1993, we went to a game in August against the A's, and we were sitting in left field, only a few rows back, and Carney Lansford hit a late home run to put the A's ahead for good. And I was wearing a tie-dyed shirt, and I went home and I was watching the highlights on Headline News, all the old people, and I could see my shirt because the ball landed like a couple of rows in front of us. It was blurry, but I could see because my shirt stood out from everyone else because it was like rainbow tie-dye.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I have a similar moment. Me and one of my best friends went to a game late in 2016 that wound up being A-Rod's final career home run.
Oh, wow.
It was in the left field bleachers, and it went over our head. And I sit in row 16 of the bleachers, and it went over our head. And you can see on the replay, every time I watch that, me and my friend look getting up and turning around because it goes over our head. So it is really, I don't know why, I'm a grown man, but I find those moments really exciting still.
Game 3 against the Twins in 2010, I was in the first row of the bleachers, and Marcus Timms hit a home run right in front of us, and Nick Swisher hit a home run right in front of us. And you can see me cowering because I was the only girl in a sea of men. And when I saw that the ball was like coming right at me, and I'm like, I'm going to get killed for this ball. And thank God it died in the air and landed in section 103. Both of them did because I was like, that was the thought in my head. I'm like, I'm going to get killed for a division series home run ball because I'm surrounded by a bunch of dudes who are going to die for these balls. And thank God that didn't happen. Oh, I wonder if Zach Campbell was there. I should have looked for him.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Debbie says we sold our Red Sox games season tickets as we were so uncomfortable in the stadium. Interesting. Yeah, Red Sox Yankee games are crazy. I would never go to Fenway wearing Yankee stuff ever. I mean, I think I told the story. I answered room service when I was in Boston 16 years ago, and I was wearing a Yankee a Yankee shirt, and he's like, "You're not going to wear that outside, are you?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Okay." He was legitimately worried for my safety. He's like, "You're not going to wear that, are you?" I'm like, "No. I know."
That stuff's overblown. I've done it before.
Really?
I've been to 2 Yankees Red Sox games in Fenway. They don't say nothing to. Maybe you'll hear someone say, "If you leave them, it's." I guess It's like a raccoon. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
Yeah, but you're talking about recently, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not the same.
Years.
I'm talking about when things were crazy back, 15, 20 years ago, where I went to a Starbucks and a guy ahead of me was wearing a Yankee hat. We were on Commonwealth Avenue. I'm like, why is he doing that? And someone was heckling him from the line. And the guy behind the counter said something to him, and I wondered what he said. So I asked the guy, I was like, what'd you say? He's like, oh, I told him I'm low-key a Yankee fan, but I don't let anyone know around here. I'm like, me too. He's like, okay, good. Oh, yeah, I was supposed to be at this one. I was at David Cohn's Perfect. Yeah, I was supposed to be at that game. I hurt my leg and I couldn't walk. And our seats were in the 5th row, the upper deck. And you remember how the old stadium was? You had all those stairs to go down. There was no way I was going to be able to walk anywhere. And so I was watching on my couch while icing my leg and crying because I was like, I missed a perfect game. But I have seen a no-hitter.
One to be at, really.
Yeah, but I have seen a no-hitter in person. So, but my brother's seen both. So it makes me really angry. And he was at Game 6 against the Braves in 96. So I'm just like, really, I've never seen a World Series clinching game. I still have to do that.
Good luck. Good luck affording those tickets now.
Yeah.
Any type of clinching game now, the ticket prices just go out of control.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, see, other people feel the same way. Jared said it too. I was afraid to wear my Yankee gear at Boston. Yeah, because my friend wore a hat one time in, I want to say it was like 2003. So it was before the Red Sox won. So they were really angry. Like, that was when they were really like, if you wore Yankee stuff within a 500-mile radius of Fenway, you'd get. So my friend was at a restaurant with her boyfriend. He was wearing a Yankee hat, and the waitress was even like, joking about doing things to their food. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Nowadays, though, I wouldn't be too concerned.
Yeah, maybe not now, but I still wouldn't. Like, I when I was going up to Boston a few months ago, I almost wore my Don Mattingly rookie card shirt. And I was like, oh, maybe not. I'm like, just in case, maybe not. So anyway, we yapped long enough. I hope you guys, enjoyed this live show. Brian, tease what's coming up.
Yeah, so tomorrow, I believe.
No.
Yeah, tomorrow. No,
We're recording
Friday.
it tomorrow. It's coming up Friday.
We'll be talking to Ariel Epstein. She is an NBA TV and MLB Network host. She's also goes by the Prop Queen. She's a prop better, sports gambling expert, all that kind of fun stuff. She has over 80,000 Twitter followers, so which is just crazy. She's one of the modern day people in today's industry that has really built her career off of sports, off of social media, which is fascinating to talk to someone about that. So we're going to have her on, talk about her career, how she got to where she is. And I think she'll be the first guest that we really, really get into the Yankees with, because she's a big Yankee fan. So we'll really talk about their offseason with her.
And then Fan Mail Friday is being pushed back. We're still doing it. But because of Ariel's schedule, we're recording with her Thursday, putting up the show Friday. And are we doing Friday live or are we recording it? I can't remember.
I think we're recording Friday, but we'll have it up for you at some point.
Right. So we're going to record Fan Mail Friday on Friday, and we'll have it up later on Friday, so you guys can watch it all weekend if you want to. So reminder, get those questions in. If you're an insider, get them in before Friday morning. And if you're not an insider, leave your question underneath our videos this week. Any video this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just say Fan Mail Friday and ask your question, and we will answer them. So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys Friday.